Everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here with another tutorial, and this one was viewer's choice. In the last video that I posted, I took a walk through this tiny home that I've been working on, and I told you guys that I would let you decide what we did for the next tutorial, and you could choose anything that you wanted, whether it was inside or outside the house, whether it be putting this little froggy in the well, or if we go inside, the little platforms, the sinks that I made, or this little wood-burning stove. I tallied it all up the other day, and I actually gave it some extra time because there weren't that many votes to tally. But the one that won out was actually these stairs. And I will say before we get started, these stairs were made with floating and sinking using the one-cut method. So for those of you who haven't watched my tutorial on that, I highly recommend going and watching that before attempting this, just so that you understand what it is that you're doing, and so you don't run into a ton of problems later on. Because there are actually quite a few rules to this. You may also know it as switch sinking and floating, or anchorless sinking and floating. And so you're actually, instead of using an extra decor piece to float your items off of and anchoring it to that, you're anchoring to the house itself, whether it be the wall or the floor, or you can even anchor to the outside ground on the grass. And so there's no need for that extra piece. And with rotational floating in that, it's actually a lot easier because you're not having to constantly judge and turn your shelf to get your piece exactly where you want it. But once you've gone and checked out that video, you can go ahead and get started on making some stairs. And here I have two tiny little mock-ups. I'm not going to make the stairs as big as I did in the tiny home. We're just going to do like a miniature version to show you guys how I did it. And you can make whatever shape of stairs that you like, or you could do multicolor like this. This one's two-toned. You could make rainbow stairs if you wanted. But whenever you are making your stairs, I would like to say that depending on which wall you use, depends on how these are going to be turned. So say for example, this one right here, whenever I rotate it on this shelf, or I'm sorry, on this wall, these little brackets on the back would be on top, whereas if I did it on the opposite side of the wall, the brackets would be facing down. Also, depending on whether you turn it left or right, will depend on the rotation, and you'll see what I mean as we get into that. But I just wanted to let you guys be aware as you're building this, if you just try to go into it and make your own custom stairs and you wonder, why you can't get the shelf to turn the way that you want. The wall does matter. But to go ahead and start off, I'm going to show you how we make these top pieces right here. These are the only pieces that are actually anchored and connected to each other, whereas these pieces that cover up the front for the brackets are individual. But to actually do this, you would start off with your initial shelf on the wall. And then I like to have these sit up just a little bit higher than they would if you were to just sit it on top like this. So I like to take my shelf and then move it up a half of a small square, and then cancel place it on the wall. Then you would take another shelf, put a pillar on top of it, like so. Multi-select by this pillar. Make sure your shelf is facing out this way so that the brackets are inside of the shelf. And then we're looking for this yellow square right here. We want to be on the back part of it, just like this. If you guys can see. And make sure that your shelf is centered as well. I sometimes struggle looking from the side. making sure that it's perfectly centered. But you're basically looking for like the bottom, if you're on this side, the bottom right-hand corner of the first yellow square. And then place. Pick up the bottom shelf and then place it again, and it will pop that shelf up a half of a square. And then you'll just do this as many times as you want for the height of your stairs. For the one inside the tiny home, I believe I did 3 stairs tall, and then the turn, I believe, is 9 stairs up. But we'll just go ahead and do a 3 stack here. So again, for the next stair, you would place it on the wall, move a half a small square up, cancel place. You can see the plate I pulled out. Put your pillar on top of your shelf. Turn it around so the brackets are facing towards the wall. And then place. Make sure it's centered, which mine is not. Then pick up in place to pop the shelf up. From here, what you would do is just multi-select by this pillar to bring it down onto the ground, and then place it wherever you want. We'll place ours right against the wall, I guess. And then if you look, you can see a little bit more of the feet on the brackets on the top 2, whereas the one that's sitting on the ground is sunk in a bit more. What I like to do is float it up with the 1-cut method by about a half a small square to where they're about the same exact height. And in order to do that, we would take a builder's piece, such as a crate. This is probably going to be the easiest thing to use, or a floor piece. We would come over to our stairs and multi-select by this pillar. I'm actually going to move mine down to the bottom one, just to make it easier to connect to this crate. Cancel place it onto the crate. And then pick this crate up in the same spot. Again, you'll see it doesn't, do the 1, 2, 3 like a shelf does. It just slides up and down the wall. So you have to be very precise with this. We want to move up about a half of a small square and place after multi-selecting this crate. And it will pop back to where we had it, but raised up off the ground a bit more. And I think I actually raised mine a tiny bit too much. So we're going to multi-select again. Bring it back to this crate. Cancel place it onto the crate. Multi-select by that crate. I'm going to keep grabbing until it stops moving, and then just move it down a tiny little bit and place. And I think that's much better. If not, you can continue to adjust this as many times as you like. Again, please check out the floating and sinking using the 1-cut method before attempting this. From here, if you wanted to make the little platform like I had, what you could do is actually to do this fairly easily. I'm going to show you how to move these in unison so that they stay at the exact same height. Because if you start moving these pieces individually that you want nice and flat, then they'll be all wonky and they won't sit perfectly mesh with each other unless you're really, really good at it. Like what I did in the tiny home, a lot of those were actually individually placed, and I just sat there and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked until they sat perfectly aligned with each other. It's a pain. So I'm going to show you guys the slightly easier way to do it. Say you wanted your little platform, you would come over here and place these with the multi-select and a pillar, just like so. Put it on top, multi-select by the pillar, bring it over where you want, and just line up however many you like. We're just going to do it for the example. Multi-select, bring it over here, And whenever you're placing these, use the front of the shelf, because you'll see it merges pretty far in. But if I were to turn this back where the brackets are and try to do this, they won't even touch. Or let's do 2 by 2. So you would have your little platform like that, and then you would put a pillar on each one, so. And then I'm actually going to take this outside, just to make it a bit easier and give us more room. But from here, you would take floor pieces, like this, like I have these 3 attached right here. Put them up on the wall. When you do this though, and you place one up here, pick it up again and place it again, because it will actually turn the rotation of the piece. I'm not sure why they've been doing that. I think that since they updated, it's just been odd, because they never used to turn before. Make sure you do that with all your pieces and then attach them to each other, however many floor pieces you need, so that all of your stuff will fit on top, depending on how many you have. You would deselect, bring them outside to here, and then cancel place them on. One more. And then from here, however high you want it raised, how high you will move this after multi-selecting and place. So I'm actually going to come in here and look at how high up it is on the wall, and that will help me determine how high I need to raise these off the ground. So this is about, I would say, 1.5 squares before I had raised it. And we are at exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 squares up. So we moved it about 1/2 square. We need to go 5 up to meet with the other. So come over to your main floor piece, multi-select by it, and then move 5 small squares up. 5 and place. And again, you don't have to worry if you got it wrong. These are completely adjustable. Now see how I have my stairs here and these are all the way back here? I can just move them over. And to do that, we'll take another crate, put it on the ground, multi-select by these pillars, and cancel place them onto the crate. And then say we want to move it about 10 forward and 5 over, place. I went a little too far into the wall and we still need to come over about 2 small squares forward. So try this again. Cancel place onto the grid after multi-selecting by the pillar. And this is why I love this technique, because not only do you not have the extra pieces, so it's not eating up your item limit, but you can see and adjust a lot better than having to constantly rotate something on a shelf. So we're about perfect, 1/2 to the left, and then it just needs to come down a bit. We went a bit too high. Once you get the hang of the floating and sinking with the one-cut method, this is super easy to do. I actually learned how to do this in less than a day, believe it or not. So we need to go down by one. So we're going to take these back outside. And know that every single time that you do this, multi-selecting and then moving from the wall to the floor, and multi-selecting by that crate or that wall piece, you are re-anchoring your piece. So if I push it around with this crate like I just did, I have anchored it to the floor the second that I do that. If I put it back on the wall out here to move it up or down, I am anchoring it to the wall when I do that. But the ones in the house are all anchored. Everything is anchored to the floor. So once I'm done and I have my piece exactly where I want it, all I do is multi-select that piece, put it on one of these crates or builder's pieces on the floor, multi-select by it, and then just place it right back down in the same exact spot without moving it, and it just re-anchors it to the floor when I'm finished. If you leave it anchored to the wall or the outside ground, how high you can go and how far you can go is actually pretty limited. That's why I prefer the floor inside the house. Because I can go up to 13 squares high with this, white squares, or 13 crates. And I can go as far in any direction on this plot as I want. And it will stay stuck exactly where I put it. Whereas if I were to put it on the wall and keep it anchored there, I can only move, I believe, 6 floor pieces, or about 12 white squares, away from that wall in either direction before it will unanchor itself, and I can only go about, I believe, 6 crates high or so before it will unanchor itself. So to me, the inside floor of your harvest house is the best anchor point. Anyways, let's go ahead and move these down. Cancel, place them up here. So if anything was confusing about that to you guys, again, I highly recommend watching that video before attempting this. There are quite a few rules that you need to know with the anchorless or one cup sinking and floating. And if you're not aware of what those are, you'll have a lot of issues and you'll end up with your stuff hopping to the front of your plot quite a bit. Go ahead and multi-select right here. And we're going to move down, I think it was a half small square I needed. Excuse me. And I need to go not quite half a small square, but still, so it was 1 square. And like I said, almost everything that you see in that house was done with this technique, except for the things that actually needed an anchor because they're floor items or something that doesn't have a grid where you can place something on top of it in order to multi-select these builder's pieces. So those things do need to be stuck to an actual decor piece as an anchor in order to float them, but you can still use this to move them around as much as you want. And I show that in the video too. I think I sunk a plate into a plushie and then floated it in the air so you couldn't see the plate. But I was still able to move it around with the one cut method. I moved a tiny bit too far down. But that's pretty much it. From there, I actually built a wall. I'm not going to continue to stand here and adjust this just to save time on the video, but I built a wall like that. That way it covered the side, and I didn't have to fill all these sides up, because because I'll show you on this one in the tiny house, I actually did fill in the sides on the bottom 3 stairs. It's behind this chest right here. I filled these in with shelves just so you didn't see the interior. Because if you pop these off, 1 second, I'll actually deconstruct the wall for you guys. You would be left with all of that showing. And that would be rather difficult and take quite a few shelves in order to cover that up. So I just built the wall and blocked it off on either side. So this is actually behind the stairs, see? And then it just looks like they're actually built in because I filled in this little piece on the side. So you do want to consider that whenever you're making these, that you do have a lot to cover up. But in order to cover them up, we would do like we did before. Come over here and put a pillar on. But this time make sure that it's on the back end of your shelf. And then we would come outside. And if you remember earlier, I was saying depending on which wall you choose, depends on how this rotates. You'll see in 1 second what I mean. Put this down on the ground. Take a second shelf and put it on this pillar. Then we're going to multi-select by that shelf, bring it up to the wall, turn it sideways and place it. And then we'll take another builder's piece, say this crate, remove the shelf that you put on the front, multi-select by this pillar, cancel place it onto the crate, multi-select this crate, move it away from the wall, and when we place it, it pops it off the wall. Now from here, this is obviously the wrong orientation for what we need. So you would, again, multi-select by that pillar, cancel place it onto your builder's item, the crate, multi-select, and then just turn. But make sure that you're far enough away from stuff so that when you do that, it's not going to like merge into your wall and that and be hard to grab. Now you can see we have it facing exactly how we want, but these brackets are on the top side. I actually like to use the front of the shelf, so I want it facing the other way. So in order to do that, we actually have to turn it the opposite direction on the wall. So I believe we had turned it this way, so we want to turn this way in place. Remove that, multi-select by the pillar, place it on here, multi-select by the crate, move it back, place, multi-select. And you can turn while you're doing this, but I don't like to just because I want to see where my piece is before I start turning it so that I don't lose it. Go ahead and turn, because see how far it jumped just there? I'm going to go ahead and turn 2 more times so it's facing the other way. Multi-select. 1, 2. And as you can see, the brackets are still on top. So if that's the case, you go to the opposite wall. So we would actually take this, move to the other side. Multi-select by the shelf, put it up here in place, Remove that shelf. Take a builder's piece. We're just going to grab that pillar. Multi-select the pillar. Cancel place it. And if you are using a pillar or a wall piece, you have to move like down here on the pillar. If you try to attach it further up on top, it actually won't multi-select. So I'll show you what I mean real quick. If I put it up here in cancel place and I try to multi-select, it's not doing it. But if I multi-select and bring it down here in cancel place, it picks it up. So there we go. And now all we have to do is turn it. Multi-select, cancel place, multi-select, and turn. And I believe our stairs are facing this way inside. I would like to double check. Yep. So from here, all we need to do is move it inside and adjust it. So again, like we did before, you'll take your builder's piece, multi-select that pillar, cancel place it on, multi-select the builder's piece, move inside the house. As you can see, it's way too high up, so all we have to do is drag it down with the crate on the wall. Go ahead and place that there. Multi-select, cancel place, multi-select, move down. Let's say we need to go at least 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. Still wasn't quite far enough. Probably another 3. I'm going to cancel place that there so I can move this back up. Multi-select. Cancel place it. And move another. Now that's too far down. 1 second. There we go. Now we need to go a half a small square to the left, so we'll come to the crate on the ground. Multi-select. Half one over. And then from here we can just micro adjust it, because you can see it doesn't quite sit flush as these ones do. So bring it back over to the wall, cancel place, and then just move it tiniest bit up. Here, look at the top. And it could be fine like this, but I actually like to scoot it in a little bit. So we would multi-select that pillar again. Cancel place. And this time we're going to turn the grid off. Multi-select that crate. And just keep adjusting your mouse until when you pick it up it's not moving at all. And then just scoot it the tiniest bit forward. And there you have it. And because I ended by pushing it forward, it's anchored to the floor like I want it. So I can just take that pillar off, and we're done. And you just keep doing this over and over again until everything's filled. And for the side pieces, you would use the front or the back wall, I believe. We're going to go ahead and double check that, so I'm not just saying it. Just to show you guys that depending on where you place it and how you rotate it, you get different orientations. I believe I left this over here. multi-slipped. We're going to turn it the same way as we had inside just to see which way it rotates. I need builder's piece. Multi-select and move this away from the wall. Now we're going to rotate it. This was the orientation for inside like this, so we need this just facing that way. So let's try rotating it. See which directions it goes. Because one will be flat and then one will be like it's turned sideways. See? Turn it one more and now it's completely flipped. Let's go ahead and turn it again. This is just to give you guys a visual. This time it's facing out that way, but these are on top. So from here, this obviously needs to go on the front or back, but I can't remember which one, so we're going to figure it out. That way you guys aren't guessing. So this would be the back of the house. Move it away from the wall. And then you can either leave them like this, or you can flip them horizontal. Like that. So it's this back part of the wall and the side of the house on this side. And the door is right here. So you would be using the right side and the back of the house if you were going to build in this front right corner of your home. I'll just go ahead and push this one into place for you guys since we have it up in the air already. Make sure you're putting your builder's piece close to the piece that you're multi-selecting and moving. You just get a more accurate movement when you do that. Somehow it flipped on me. I'm going to fix that. Oh well. I don't know what happened there. I'm pretty sure you guys get the point by now. It doesn't have to be perfect. You guys can make yours perfect. Believe it or not, the stairs inside that tiny home took me about a day and a half to do as much as I've done. But that's just because of procrastination, mostly. I probably could have had them built in a day, but I just didn't want to. Okay, we need to go about, excuse me, 1.5 in, and then 2, 3. And sometimes they won't line up perfectly with the grid, like that, and so you'll have to take it off grid to get it exactly where you want it. I'll try it just by moving it a half back and see if that works. As you can see, it's too far out, I think. Let's move down a bit. So it's just moving from the wall to the floor over and over again until you get your piece exactly where you want. Go about one more down. Moved a tiny bit too far down, but now you can see where the corners are meeting, exactly how much you have to adjust. And put this up here. Then we're going to turn the grid off for this once we grab it. Back. Yes. That's about perfect. And we just move the tiniest bit up. And I think I pushed it a bit too far out when I pushed back. Tiniest bit up. Oh, let's turn our grid back on. Like that. Back over here and check. Tiny bit more up. I'm going to wait to adjust it to the left, that way I don't have to then grab that and re-anchor it to the ground in two separate steps. Almost perfect, now just anchor it to the ground. I'm going to move it in that way because it's sticking out a bit too much. Turn your grid off, grab where it's not moving, move in a bit, place, and just like that. Then you would just take another two of these and line them up with the edge, just like this one is. And it'll completely fill in the sides. And that's all there is to it, guys. I also wanted to clear up confusion. A lot of you thought that I would only show you one thing out of this house. I actually plan on showing you all the little things that you guys liked. I just wanted to make this fun for you so that you could choose the first one. So as you can see, I already have a mock-up of the wood burning stove that you guys liked. And I'm ready to post that very soon. That's how you can make your own stairs. I hope you guys enjoyed it. From here, all I did was take one of the yardwork wooden pillars and I sunk a builder's post or a builder's bridge post into it and then just squished it into the corner in the tiny home. And that's all there was to it. But I think that's going to do it. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see in future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.
Hey.
Bye.